There's been a lot of chocolate on this channel for the last few weeks, and now I seem to have accidentally stumbled into the perfect segue. Who's for an omelette? So okay, there's a few different ways of cooking these, and I'm going to start with what I guess is the most traditional. 3 eggs, perfect amount for a 9-inch pan. I kinda touched on these back in the pot noodle episode, but I'm going to try and do a slightly less blasphemous version this time. Mix. Make sure you break this up well. You want this to be as monotone as possible. There you go, that looks about right. Finally chop some chives, some tarragon, and some parsley. Mix them together. Looks a bit clumsy actually, let's give this another quick blitz. There you go, and mix that into the egg. Well, 2/3 of it. We're going to hold back a little bit of this for garnish. Done. Bit of cracked black pepper. Quite generous with that actually. Not salting it at this point either because it may or may not slightly affect the texture depending on who you ask. Debates continue. Definitely no milk though, that's pretty much unanimously agreed. Anyway, get our pan. This basically has to be non-stick for this. Onto a medium to low heat and butter. French, of course, butter. Just let that melt until it starts foaming. If it starts to sizzle, you've gone too far. In with the egg mixture, now stir. Constantly. You want this to set into the smallest possible curds you can. Make sure you're getting the edges as well. Getting there, getting there. There you go. When you get to this scrambled egg stage, spread it out into a single layer and just leave it for a minute or two. Keep a close eye on this though. As soon as it's set enough for you to start lifting the edge, start lifting the edge. Which should be a bit easier for you if you haven't got a camera in the way. In fact, hang on. There you go. And just roll it up onto itself, like a Swiss roll. You can see there's no colour on this, that's what we're after. When you get to this stage, there's a whole thing you can do, tapping on the pan handle just to get a little bit of a lip on the other end and a slightly neater shape, but I'm just going to get on with this. There you go, little eggy cylinder. Invert a plate over this and turn it out. Hang on. There you go, neaten up the shape if you feel thusly inclined. A little bit more black pepper. And that's fine as far as it goes, but if you want to show off a little bit, and let's face it, if you're going to make a classic French omelette, you do, just go over this with a few drops of truffle oil. It's not as pricey as it sounds, and a little bit goes a really long way. Bring a bit of acidity into this with a drizzle of balsamic vinegar, and finish it off with those reserved herbs. And there you go, French style omelette. Cut into this. Ooh, I like it. Still quite liquid in the center. I know there's some people out there who would even call this overdone, but personally I find it a bit off-putting if an omelette is runnier than this. That's good. It's buttery, it's rich, it's almost creamy. It's almost creamy. Herbs are great. Balsamic is punching above his weight in this as well. Nice bit of sourness, I like it. And there you go, French style omelette. And don't forget, these are just templates. You can add whatever the hell you want to add. A sentence that'll get much more important when we get to the American style omelette. It's a similar process, but it's completely different. Same starting point, eggs obviously, 3 of them, riveting. Beat these together. Seasoning, black pepper. No herbs this time, but I am going to add a little pinch of nutmeg and a grating of cayenne. It'll taste nice in more or less any omelette, but I've got some plans for this one, and I think it's going to need a little bit of help standing up through the noise. Still no salt though. Mix that. Might take a minute to get it evenly dispersed, but it'll get there. There we go. Pan. Slightly hotter this time, but not by much. We're talking from a 3 to a 4. Butter, nice even coating. We can risk a little bit of sizzle this time too. Pretty pattern for no reason. And in with the eggs. No need to do the constant stirring with this one, just let it start to set, and then every now and again tilt the pan and bring the edges of the omelette in, like little mountain ranges. The liquid bit will fill the void, set, and then you can pull that bit up too. When you haven't got enough liquid left to fill any gaps, you can either fold it in half or add some fillings if you fancy a loaded omelette, which I do. Or rather, I kind of fancy a fully loaded omelette. So, sprinkle of cheese, I'm using strong cheddar. Fries, of course, fully loaded. Chilli. This is the same recipe I put into that cheesecake way back when, but with about 40 grams of dark chocolate grated in just at the end. Bacon's done. I've just baked a few streaky rashers in the oven until crispy. Get those chopped and sprinkle them over. A few chopped jalapenos and a bit more cheese. Now it's time to fold it over. And flip it out onto a plate. Now you can already see that this is a lot more golden than the French style one, which is what we want. As well as all them little folds and crevices, which should help it hold on to some more flavours. So a bit more cheese, a few more jalapenos, sour cream with a few chives mixed into it. Let's fill a little gap. A few avocado cubes. A little bit more bacon, why not? A little bit of chopped coriander, and there you go. Admit it, that is magnificent. Let's get a cross section of this. Move avocado. You know this is gonna be good, it's just a pile of delicious stuff. Good chili, cheese, little pockets of avocado, chivy sour cream. The bacon, surprisingly, is getting lost under everything else. Unlike the omelette, that nutmeg is really helping this stand up for itself. Texture-wise, it's drier than the French omelette, you can see. It doesn't feel as rich or as indulgent. Oh, well, rather, it wouldn't feel as rich or indulgent if I hadn't piled it with all of this. Now, after all of that tasty, fatty deliciousness, we should probably make something a bit healthier, so egg white omelette. Slightly different this time, since we're not using the entire egg, obviously. So, separate 3 eggs. I know we've gone through the best way to do this in some episode or another, but since we're here, just crack the eggs into your hand, let the whites fall through, and catch the yolks. Set the yolks to one side, and tell you what, let's do 4 whites just to make up the volume. Ah, shit, wrong bowl. Hang on. There you go. Okay. Okay, now let's get these whites whisked. Not too much, we're not making a souffle, but you do still want to get a good amount of air into this. There we go, that looks about done. Pan. Butter. Same temperature as the American style, and in with the eggs. They're not all souffled, you can see that, but that's fine. Just try and make sure they're fairly evenly distributed throughout the pan. Neaten up the edges, then just leave it. No scrambling, no dragging in from the edges. You just let it set and do its thing. While it does that, this is how I made the stuff I'm about to fill it with. Handful of fresh spinach, roughly chopped. Garlic clove. Whoop, get back here. Finally slice, and this goes into some olive oil. Once the oil's fragrance, in with the spinach and let that wilt down a little bit. There we go, now turn off the heat and go in with a generous handful of chopped dill. Stirry, stirry, seasoned, done. Nice thread of this through the middle. few cubes of feta, generous amount of cracked black pepper. If you want to add a little bit of crunch to this, you could add a few toasted pine nuts as well, but I didn't think of that until I started recording the narration. So, just pretend they're there. Now, confidence is key here. Spatula under the omelette and flip. If you keep it parallel to the filling, you shouldn't have to worry about shuffling it like this, but I didn't, so I do. Onto a plate. Garnishes, few dill fronds, bit of sea salt, few more bits of feta, rolling gracefully out of shot. There we are. And a few more black olives. Pepper again. A few roasted on the vine tomatoes, and let's get a cross section of this. I like that. Maybe not as attention seeking as the fully loaded one, but that's not the point of this one. Stupid place to put them out of the way. Oh, that's fluffy. Dill comes through. Bit of salt from the olives. That filling would be nice in a phyllo as well. Actual omelette part, not the most exciting way to consume eggs if I'm absolutely honest. But as it is, yeah, it works as a good carrier for the rest of it. Don't get me wrong, this tastes great, but the French and American style omelettes you could eat without the fillings or toppings if you wanted to, but this one is more or less completely dependent on what you serve it with, I think personally. How about these tomatoes? Who needs ketchup? That's really good. And now I've got some yolks left over. Has anyone ever made an egg yolk omelette? Mix them. Pepper, there you go. Egg yolks into a pan. Not really enough to fill the pan. Okay, well, let's do the French scrambly method. About 6 seconds later, seriously, this cooked insanely quickly. That's ready to roll. Or rather, it would be if it wasn't this brittle. Turn this out. Ignore the pool of butter it's lying in. Salt, and let's see inside. It looks like a roll of egg. How's it taste? Yeah, okay, have you ever started frying an egg in butter and then forgotten about it? It's basically that. Super rich on its own, and the texture is terrible, but as a component of another dish, maybe this could work. Can we save this as an omelette? Truffle oil, balsamic chives, drown her in pepper. What now? Okay, yep, now. Much less one note. In fact, with that vinegar and with that pepper, I'd go so far as to call this downright pleasant. And that's 3 types of omelettes. I know there's a few others out there that I didn't manage to cover in this one, but that's a job for another day. Personally, I prefer the French style, but that's just me. Let me know in the comments what you think. Give us a like and hit the subscribe button while you're down there. Not much else to say here, is there? Thanks for watching, and until next time, get forked.